Okay, so here's a story time about how I got ghosted. Okay, so let me tell you all how I met this guy. So right around Thanksgiving, and they had like holiday help coming in. And so my one coworker, her son was gonna work there, and everybody was like in love with her son. I was texting everybody and I was like just joking around. I was like, I'm gonna dress nice for him, like whatever, like I'm gonna get him basically, right? But I didn't think anything would happen. And so like he was there for the holidays the year prior, like almost every holiday year he would come and help out. And I like didn't talk to him to the year prior, but I was like, oh, this year like I'm gonna talk to him, like whatever, like right? And so I walk in there and I see him, and like for like the first day we were kind of just like making eye contact. Like I would look at him and then he would look at me, or like I would feel him looking at me and I'd turn around and he would be looking at me. I just randomly went up and started talking to him, which is actually annoying because I'm like, I always feel like I have to talk to people, and I don't know if that's like because they're intimidated by me. Like honestly, I don't even remember what we talked about, but we were talking. And then the whole time though, I was like telling people, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know he likes me. Like I know he like feels something for me, right? And so my one coworker, we like walked to the back, which he ended up hearing like my real laugh. Like y'all probably haven't heard my real laugh, but it's like, it's crazy, okay? And so like I noticed that like whenever he would walk back and I would be like standing in a group, like he would look at me first and stuff, and like we would keep talking, and like I would find excuses to like be near him and like talk to him. There was one shift where I literally talked to him standing like up in the front for so long because I was just like, no, like whatever. And I was joking around like, oh, don't leave, because he would work like 8 to 5 with his mom, and then I would work like 1 to like 9:30, so I'd be like closing, and he wouldn't, so he would leave before me. So basically, like, you know, he was only going to be there for the holidays, and like he wasn't going to be there for like the whole month of December. It was more of just like Black Friday week and like kind of like the week after and stuff. So on Thanksgiving, or not, sorry, Black Friday, I worked with him, but we were so busy that like I didn't have like much time to talk to him. But because I was stuck at like register, but his mom ended up like leaving her phone there, so he had to come back and grab it, and it was like right next to me, right? Well, then he asked for my snap. So I put my snap in his phone, and then he leaves. And so we start texting. And basically I find out that he came into work that day because he talked to his mom about me. And so he wanted to like see me again so he could ask for my snap. And he was like super like shy to ask for my snap. So his mom was like, I'm literally about to like ask her for you because you won't ask already. So yeah, I was like, I was right. Like I knew it, you know? So we start texting and we're like having a good time. And then we plan to like go on our first date. So I had to work that night, but then after we're like gonna go to like dinner, and like I couldn't pick a place because I'm indecisive. Like don't ask me where to go because I can't pick. So he pulls up there and he's like, well, I made a bunch of different reservations at places. He's like, on the way here, I was like calling these places because I didn't know where you wanted to go, and I just want to have options open. And I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody's like ever done that for me, you know? So then he opens the car door and all the doors for me, and we end up going to like Chili's because I just like yelled that out because I literally couldn't pick, and it was just like giving me anxiety, you know? So basically, you know, the date goes really good. Like, you know, we hug each other bye, and we're like holding hands in the car and stuff. And then I didn't kiss him. Like, no, I'm not doing that on a first date. Sorry. Like, you gotta earn that. So then we leave, and we're like planning our next date, and we're just like texting every day, and we're like asking how our day is, like, and he was just super nice. So then he's like, oh, like, you can come over for Christmas and like meet the rest of my family. And like I was like, oh my gosh, like meeting the rest of his family, you know, like ah. And he even got me like a Christmas gift and everything, and like we had only been talking for a month, and I was like, you literally didn't have to do that, you know? And so I go to his house on Christmas, and I meet the rest of his family. They're all super nice, and they all like me, and I'm just having a good time. And then I go home, and he's about to go to Texas, like the day after Christmas, to like go hang out with his friends. And then he told me that when he was gonna come back, like he was gonna be there for a week, he had planned like a whole little like hiking trip for us and stuff. And like, he was like super excited about it. And so like we would FaceTime and stuff at night. Well then he goes on this vacation, okay? And this is where stuff takes a little bit of a turn that I wasn't expecting. So he goes on this vacation, and at this point he's like barely texting me, and I wasn't really bothered because I'm like, oh, he's hanging out with his friends, like I understand, like, you know, like I'm gonna give him like his space and stuff. But it was just like I would ask him how his day was and stuff, and I would just get dry responses like good. Like no like, oh, it was good, how about you? Or like, oh, I did this today, like nothing. And he wouldn't even call me. So, you know, he's barely like texting me, and I'm just like, okay, this is weird. And I start getting really anxious about it because I'm already like an anxious person. So like, I'm overthinking at this point. I'm like asking people's opinions, and they're just telling me to like calm down. Like, he's with his friends, like he's busy, like, you know, he wouldn't do that kind of thing to you. He's not that type of guy. And I was like, I don't know, like this is a little bit weird. Like, he told me I could call him, but like I don't feel like comfortable with calling him. Like, I feel like if I call him, I'm interrupting, and he's like barely texting me. I'm like, so this entire week we were like barely talking. And then like sometimes he would just like snap me and say nothing, or like I would be undelivered for hours, and then he would text me and be like, oh, sorry, like I wasn't on my phone or something. And like he was active on Snapchat because I could see that. And I'm like, or he would be on Snapchat and he wouldn't be answering me back. Like, just weird, like sus, right? So then I'm hanging out with my friend this one night, and we go get dinner, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna test him a little bit. So whenever I posted stuff on my story, he would always slide up and be like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, like da da da. So I'm like, I'm gonna post on my story and see if he slides up. And so I'm talking to my friend about this, and she's just like, you're overthinking it. Well, I post, and I saw that he like looked at it, but he didn't say anything. And I'm like, look, that's weird. Out of nowhere, just get this really bad feeling. And I'm like, nope, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And I'm like having almost like a little panic attack. Like, I'm feeling like I can't breathe, and I'm like, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Like, and my friend's like, no, like it's okay. Just calm down. Just calm down. Just wait until he gets home, and then like, you know, everything will probably be fine. I'm like, okay. And she gets me to calm down basically. So eventually he gets home, right? And I did my best to like not text him that morning because I was like out with my sister. Like, it was like Christmas break, and like everybody was out of school. So I had like a little brunch with like my family, and I was like, I'm not going to look at Snapchat because I don't want to get upset. And so he was getting home that day. And so he gets home, and I finally answer him, and he's talking to me like a little bit more and like stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, maybe everything is fine, and I was just overthinking it. Well, then the next day, he leaves me undelivered for an entire day, and then I go to work, and I'm like upset, and I'm like, yeah, he basically ghosted me. Like, he hasn't answered me an entire day, and like I could see that he's active on Snap. Like, you know, like there's no excuse. Like, I don't know. So then he texts me, and he's like, the next day after this entire day passes, and he's like, oh, sorry, I was busy. But anyway, in this moment, I'm like mad because I'm like, you were literally active on Snapchat, and there's no reason for you to like not answer me for an entire day. So then I'm like showing people at work, I'm like, look, and they're like, don't answer him, don't answer him. So then I leave him on delivered for a few hours, and I leave him on open for like literally an entire week, and he didn't even like try to talk to me or anything. And then like that whole little hiking trip he planned, I guess he had planned, like I never heard anything about that. And I was just confused. Like, I didn't know like if he like met someone in Texas or like what happened. But then basically I find out he joined the Marines, and I'm like, okay, well like he could have just said that. Instead, I'm over here like overthinking because I don't know what happened. Like, you know, but he joined the Marines. Instead of just telling me, like, I can't, like, can we just be friends or something? He just didn't say anything and had me overthinking. But yeah, I found out that he joined the Marines from his mom. I ended up texting him saying, like, you're gonna do great, like, whatever.